What's up, YouTube? I'm the Nice One, and today we are going to be we're going to try and make a Paladin character model in about 25 minutes. Last time I gave myself like 5 minutes, and it actually took me like 15, so I apologize, but I'm trying to give myself these little like timed challenges to do it quickly so that the videos I make for y'all are a bit shorter. This one's going to be like a tutorial, step by step, as I do it in real time, because I noticed that in the previous video, y'all found that a bit more interesting, or at least more of you were more engaged with that kind of video, which makes sense, so I'm going to try and do more of that going forward. So to help me along, I'm going to be starting with a base mesh, the same base mesh we made, pretty much the same base mesh we made in the last video, so I'll put a link to that one down below. I'll also post the file so that you can just download it and then open this in Blender, and then we'll both be starting from the same place. But having a base mesh just helps with my workflow, because then I don't have to like recreate stuff I've made in the past, and this video is just going to be entirely about making the details for the Paladin. Some more things I should call out is you'll notice in the bottom right corner here, you'll see the shortcuts. So I installed a software that allows me to show what keys, my keystrokes, as I'm doing this. So you'll be able to see what hotkeys I'm pressing as I go along. I'll try and like tell you what I'm doing or what I'm hitting, but if you get confused or if you don't hear exactly what I say, if I just say the wrong thing, you can just look down here and you should be able to see the keystrokes. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. You'll notice here some more housekeeping in the top right corner. In the scene collections, I've made a new collection called Paladin Details. And the reason that is because I want to make sure that all of the objects I make going forward exist inside this collection so that it's easier to organize after the fact. Everything else is properly labeled to what they refer to, so I highly suggest you doing that as well in your workflow, just to make your life easier. Yeah, and let's get going. So we're going to start with the hair, and then we're basically going to work our way down, doing maybe the body, the arms, the legs, and the feet last. And hopefully I can do this in 25 minutes, so let's get started. So we're going to create a cube using Shift A, and then we're going to, let's add a couple edge loops actually. Let's add a couple edge loops here. So straight down the center using Control R, and then another edge loop on this side using Control R, and then one more on this one. So we basically cut this cube into like 8 component parts. And then we're going to bring this forward a little bit, and then we'll shift this up using G, Z. If you hit G and then Y, X, or Z, you can actually move the object in whatever axis you select, right? So if I hit GY, that means I'm only moving along the Y axis. Move this forward a little bit because this is going to be the start of the hair. All right, cool. So this is going to be my first hair strand. I'm going to bring this down a touch. And then what I'm going to do is go into vertex mode here and select all of these outside vertices, and then select this middle one last, right? Shift selecting, and I'm going to go M to open my merge, and I'm going to go merge at last to give myself a nice little point there. And then I'm going to go into 3 so I can go into the object selection, bring this up a little bit, and yeah, this is going to be the start of my hair strand. So now that I have this object, I'm going to add a a subdivision surface modifier to round it out a little bit, maybe up the levels to 3 or something. And yeah, it looks good. And now what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to go into vertex mode and start scaling this around a little bit to start getting like a shape of a hair strand that I like. So you'll notice that I'm moving into different orientations of the screen so that I can see the profile and all that all at once. And I'm using basically G and R to move around and rotate each of these vertices. The reason I'm doing this in like a wireframe mode is because if you look at your mesh straight on like this, it looks like you're only selecting one vertice, right? It looks like I'm only selecting one. But if I move it in 3D space, I notice that there's actually 2 more right behind it, and by selecting this, I'll only move this one piece. So I want to make sure I'm selecting all of these. And you can either do that by like box selecting, like click and drag down and selecting all the meshes like that so you hit it all. Or another way you could do it is go into edge selection mode and then control clicking the edge that you want, and that should connect. That should select all of the connected edges, whatever you're more comfortable with. Anyway, I'm a bit more comfortable with this, which is why I'm doing it this way. So, yeah. All right, cool. So it's not too bad. Maybe we'll move this to the side a little bit, give them a little swoop, and then we'll move this back into their hair position like that, perhaps, and go like this. Go back into edge mode, maybe add another edge loop and to round it out like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe if we, yeah, I think it's not bad. We're trying to do this in 20 minutes, so I can't get too caught up on each of these, on the specifics of all this. But now that I have my first hair strand, basically what I'm going to do is start duplicating this around and forming it around the character's head model, and then I'm adjusting each of the individual meshes. So I duplicated that. I'm going to rotate it this way, like that. And maybe I'm going to do... I hid all my stuff for a hot second there. Maybe I'm going to select this and go into vertex mode. Bring this back a little bit. Maybe bring these forward a touch, like that. Basically, I'm just like tweaking each of the meshes a little bit to give this person's hair a little bit more... unique detail to each strand. An important piece to this is that I'm making sure that each of these meshes overlap with another in some way, because my plan in the future is to use the remesh tool or the Boolean modifier to combine this all so that there are not any like overlapping faces here, and they all become like one single mesh that's easily 3D printable. Alright, cool. So that looks pretty good. Let's keep going and let's just duplicate this around, right? We'll just start by making the rough shape, and then we'll go in after and tweak it after that. So let's make the rough side profile here following the base mesh head. And then we will go into edge mode, vertex mode, and move some of these around to sort of give it some differentiation. You know, not all hair strands are made equal or exactly the same, so we want to reflect that and give it some variation. You don't need to go overboard with it, but I like to give it a bit more uniqueness each time I do it. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe we will, you know, I think his back hair pieces need to start extending down a little bit so that he doesn't look like he has too much of an undercut. So we'll go like this. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then we will go back into edge vertex mode. I like really working in vertex mode for this type of mesh because it's easier. I can be a little more specific with how I want my my shape to look because I'm only modifying one vertex point. And honestly, at this point, the subdivision surface modifier as a preview is extremely handy because I only need to work with like a couple of vertices instead of like applying this and then having to work with every single face that it subsequently makes. So I highly recommend doing that before you apply your modifiers. Anyway, let's delete this one and we'll continue down this way, maybe make some more larger hair pieces back here. We'll extend it here. That tip I gave you about being able to hit G and then Y, X, or Z also applies to scaling. So I can duplicate this and then I can hit S, Y to scale it up on a particular axis, or SX to do a different one. So keep that in mind. I use that all the time when I'm just trying to do roughing out a particular when I'm trying to rough out a particular shape. And yeah, so let's select here, bring this in like that, and we'll bring this one down here, and we'll bring this back this way. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll duplicate this way, like this. And what you see me doing here on the number pad is hitting 3 to get a perfect profile, and then I'm hitting 4 to rotate along that axis profile. So I can just sort of make sure that everything is positioned in the way I want and getting a good view of my character. To get this top view, I hit 7 on the number pad. So Keep that in mind. Your shortcuts might be a little different depending on how you set up Blender. But yeah, okay, cool. I think that's looking pretty good. Let's bring this in a touch. Select these guys over here. Maybe do a quick rotate and take it in so it doesn't look like he has too much of a cowlick. And then we will bring this over in like that so there's a bit more overlap. Then let's duplicate this, rotate along the along the Y Z axis like this. Maybe rotate like that. I'm basically just trying to rotate this into a position that I think would look good when laid on this guy's hairline here. And yeah, okay, that's not too bad, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that overall. As like an initial hair, all I have to do is cover up his bald spot up here with a few more hair strands. So we're gonna take this one and maybe we will flip it like this, and then we will go like that, go back into vertex edit mode, and then just rotate this down. You know, scale this up a little bit, like this, like that. Rotate, drag this around, and perfect, cool. So now that looks pretty good. Let's increase the size of this along the y-axis, and let's look at this here. Maybe a rotate like this. That's perfect. Okay, cool. I want this to overlay the other hair strands so that it looks a bit more, not purposeful, but what's the word? So it looks sort of like it folds over his head, you know? So I'm going to be moving some of these down and then just pushing this like that. So it just looks like it flops over the top of his head pretty nicely. Let's grab these, push them up a little bit, and yeah, I think we're looking pretty good on this one so far. Let me do that. And then let's go in one, duplicate here, maybe give him a little bit of this to hide some of that other stuff. Hide some of the overlapping mesh from the other hair strands. Let me bring this forward a little bit. And then duplicate this again. Go to one, rotate like that. And maybe one more. Rotate like this, and then I think we are pretty much done. I'm not going to spend too much time like perfecting this hair. I know that a lot of y'all probably will spend a bit more time making yours look exactly the way you want, but I just want to give it something that's acceptable from my perspective and acceptable for the purpose of this video. So hopefully this is good enough for y'all. And before I get too like anal or perfectionist about how this looks, I should probably move on, or else I'm going to spend this entire video trying to make the perfect hairpiece for this guy. I don't know if y'all play, I'm sure a lot of y'all play like RPGs or like character builder games, but I'm the kind of guy who spends forever making like the perfect looking character. Like I spend so much time trying to get like the perfect hair strands and the perfect like shape of the face and everything like that. So I know that if I continue down that road with this guy, we'll spend the next 20 minutes just doing his hairpiece. So let me finish this up and we can move on to the rest of the video. Rotate this around. All right, cool. Yeah, we're looking like a classic anime protagonist. Yeah, I like it. He looks like a classic anime protag. That's good. That's what we want for this kind of guy. All right, perfect. Nice. That looks awesome. So I think I say that's good enough for now. So what we will do is that is a hairpiece. So we'll rename this collection to be hair so that we stay organized. And then we will add a new collection, not inside that one. Inside here we'll add a new collection, and I think what we'll move on to is, yeah, you know what, let's do the body. We'll try and do the torso armor / clothing. All right, great, cool. All right, Moving on to the torso, let's hide the hair for now so that we don't have anything obstructing us a little bit. You know what? Let's even hide the head and the eyes for a second so that we're entirely focused on this torso. So what we're going to do, Shift A, make a cube, and then bring it forward here, raise it to this. What I want to do first is make a little hood. I think a hood would be nice for this guy because like paladins often have like kind of like a cleric vibe to them. And I always think they have like these like cool white hoods that are either up or down. So I want to emulate that kind of style or effect. So I'm going to delete these vertices, add a mirror modifier so that my hood looks perfectly symmetrical on both ends. Turn on clipping here. Yeah, yep, okay, clipping's working as intended. And let's get started on making this little hood here for him. We're going to position this right at sort of right at the base of his neck. And then we are going to go into face mode actually. And we're going to just rough out a general shape. We're going to use E to extrude, R to rotate, and then E to extrude again. R to rotate, E to extrude, R to rotate, E, R, E, R, E. And then the last time when we extrude, if you connect down this center line, this line of symmetry, and you release, at that point, these vertexes should be connected, and you should not, I believe you shouldn't have, oh, you might have like an internal face here that you might want to delete. But if you apply the mirror modifier, you should be good going forward. Let's go 3. Let's get rid of this face here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, perfect. Now you don't have any internal faces. Okay, now we got a rough shape. Let's start molding this into what seems to be a hood for this character. So we're gonna do some edge. We're gonna do some edge loop modifying. So I'm hitting Alt and clicking on the edge. So I've entered edge mode by hitting 2 on the on my keyboard, so that I'm in edge select mode. And then I'm just gonna be moving this around a little bit to imply where this character's hood will be. So I want something like this, and maybe I want the hood to actually extend back a little bit. So I'm going to rotate, maybe go like that, rotate like this, and then let's go 3, and then like that. Maybe something like this is actually a good idea. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Nice. Okay, cool. So we got a bit of a starting of a hood here. So let's apply a mirror. Let's apply a subdivision surface to sort of to smooth this thing out. And then we're going to select these faces here. We're going to extrude down. We're going to extrude down, and we're going to extrude back a little bit this way, so that it starts making the semblance of a hood. And scroll up. That, yeah, you know what, actually I'm gonna do it a little differently. I'm gonna bring this up for a hot second, and then I'm gonna select these faces right here. I'm gonna select these faces right here, and I'm gonna extrude down from here, and then I'm gonna bring it back along the y-axis because I want it to look kind of like this is where the hood, this kind of corner here is where the hood starts to come down. And we could probably connect all this at the bottom here using extrusions, but this is a decent hood shape. So we're going to apply, we're going to add another subdivision surface to smooth it out a little bit. And maybe we will extend like this. And then let's select these faces right here. And then we'll move it out to give the hood a bit more thickness that I think we want. Yeah, that looks good. Now let's do one more thing. We need to connect these edges. We need to connect these faces. So let's select down here, hit E to go down. We need to scale it in a touch, like that. And then we will take all these faces and then extrude in until they connect in the center. And now we have a closed edge. Now we have a closed hood. Yeah, cool, sweet. That looks pretty good. So bring this down a little bit, and then we just need to modify our Let's delete these faces. There you go. Delete the faces, and now you have a closed hood. And what you could probably do is go back into edge mode and just modify some of these vertices to position them in a way that you like. So I'm gonna select this right here. Yeah, just like that, and go G down. Maybe rotate like that. And then maybe let's select these faces here. We'll go, I think I want this hood to be a bit more rounded, like this, something like that. And then we'll go into edge mode. Maybe pull these up a little bit, pull these up and around to give it more of a lip around the hood. This. And then let's go, we're in vertex mode, so now we are going to select these and rotate this a bit like that. Select these ones and rotate this a bit like that to get it to have a bit more of a sharper dip here, like that. And then we will go back into edge mode, or into vertex mode, and pull these out a little bit to give the hood a bit more thickness that I think I want. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think it's looking not bad so far. Yeah. I'm okay with how this is going to be. I'm okay with how this is turning out right now, and how this is going to be overlapping like the rest of the torso. Only because what I'm going to do is use the remesh modifier and the Boolean modifier in order to combine it all and make it into a single object. So I'm not too stressed about that right now. Anyway, let's rotate this a little bit, bring it down, do like position it in a better place. Maybe we'll even scale it up like that. Make the hood a bit bigger. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think this is not bad for a hood. It's pretty huge right now, but that's okay because we will be combining it with other stuff to clean it up a little bit. So maybe we will do that after we're done. So we got a bit of a hood here. Let me select these right here and actually bring this in like that because I want them to look a bit thicker. Like I really like hoods that have like a huge sort of lip around them and feel very chunky and or like made out of a lot of fabric, you know? So I want this guy to have the same thing. Okay, cool. Let's select these guys here. These little vertices and move this back a tiny bit. And yeah, okay. Not bad. Yeah, I think that's pretty good as a hood. Yeah, I think that's not bad at all. Okay, great. Cool. So we got this hood as part of the torso container. Yeah, there we go. Now it's part of the torso collection. Now let's keep going and make the rest of the... let's go ahead and make the rest of the shirt and maybe some of the sleeves. So to do that, I think what we will do is... how should I do this? Let's make a cube again. Let's make a mesh cube. Let's make a cube. And then bring it to the front. Like this. Or actually, you know what? Let's bring it so that it's overlapping our base mesh, right? And then what we will do is add, along this center edge, we will add an edge loop, delete the vertices here, apply another mirror modifier. Mirror modifier right there. And then maybe we'll add one more right here. Perfect. And then we will select these vertices, scale it. Oh no, we gotta turn on clipping. Scale it so that it's outside of the underlying mesh. Maybe take these ones, bring it outside. Yeah, just like that. Cool, perfect. And what we're gonna do is use this to start making, use our base mesh. We're gonna use our base mesh to start making clothing that seems to wrap around the base mesh body. And that's why it's good to have a base mesh as like a reference. when you're doing something like this. I personally find it really helpful. All right, cool. All right, so this is the start of the bot. This, I think, is the start of the clothing. So I think what I want to do here is have kind of like a tabard, which turns into a bit of a skirt down below, and has like larger fanning out sleeves. So let's do that. Let's grab this face up here. Let's grab this top face. That, and then we will extrude up and then position it like this. Maybe something like that. Perfect. So that we also have a decent place for where the sleeves will pop out. Yeah, there we go. That's looking pretty good. And then we will add another edge loop here and go into the 3D view and start positioning some of these vertices to sort of mold around this character's body in a more of a seamless way. Just like that. And just moving the vertices around a little bit. Yeah, that's looking good. Maybe like that. I think I need to add a bit more. I need to move these out a little bit. Maybe rotate like this. Bring this in. All right, cool. Yeah, that's not bad. Kind of like a little tabard. Let's see how this looks. I think I need to bring this in a touch. Like that. Yeah, let's do... Yeah, that's good. Yeah, perfect. Now I'm going to select this mesh here, or this face. Turn back on all of these guys. Extrude down. Basically extrude down below his below his hips to make a bit of a skirt, right? Because I find that tabards, paladin tabards or cleric tabards are always sort of like longer. Here, it's almost like an overshirt they wear when they are out evangelizing people to their cause or whatever it is they are fighting for. Let's move this back like that. Maybe move these here to account for where his butt is. And then we will move these around to form fit, to be a bit more form-fitting. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I think that's not bad. A nice little tabard here. Let's apply a mirror subdivision surface to smooth it out, and then let's start adding bevels to sharpen some of these things. So you notice that after I've applied the subdivision surface, it looks a little, not weird, but it's lost a lot of its shape because it's been smoothed down to many faces. To bring back the shape, what we're going to do is add bevels around the edges where we want just important edges. So for example here, I'm going to select all these edges down here. I'm going to hit Control B to enable the bevel function, and then I'm going to scroll up once on my mouse wheel to bevel it out like that, and then it gives it more of a nicer cutoff point there. And then I'll do the same thing here. I'll select these edges here around the sleeve. Oh, well, actually no, you know what? I'm not going to bevel this, only because I know that if I were to bevel that, I know that I'm going to extend the sleeves out from there, so I don't actually need to bevel that right now. But if I bevel it here, and then maybe move it around, it will make a bit of a nicer shape. Maybe I didn't even need to do that. To be honest with you, it's not even too bad, especially once I've added a bit more details. I know it looks kind of like a little skirt for him, but we will adjust that in half a second here. So let's do something like this. Bring this down a little bit, like that, like this. Perfect. All right, cool. Yeah, we got a decent looking tabard for him right now. Bring that out. Yeah, all right. Notice that the underlying base mesh is popping out from beneath from beneath. We'll just extend this up a little bit just to hide that base mesh. At some point, once you're happy with it overall, you can actually just delete the base mesh, especially if everything else is covered, so that you don't have extra geometry. Okay, cool. I think that looks not bad. So what we're going to do now is select these faces here, and we're going to make the sleeves. So we'll hit E to extrude out, and then we will open up the height of this sleeve opening like that. Maybe even increase the scale along the y-axis like this. And then, now that you see how this is kind of like a weird curve here, I think what we can do is add a little edge loop along. I think if we can select this edge, we can add an edge loop here to sort of smooth that out and make it look a little bit better. So I'll add another edge loop here. Maybe I'll scale this in. I'll scale this down along the Z axis a little bit. And then we will bring back our character here so that we can see what we're doing. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. So now we have a bit of a sleeve popping out for this guy. It might have been a little bit exaggerated, to be honest with you, but I think this is not bad. We'll rotate this down a little bit, maybe go here. And I think what might be nice is if we move some of these like vertices right at his shoulder joint to be more akin to something like this. And then if we raise this a touch, we should be able to hide some of the underlying base mesh. Or if we go like that, move some of these down a little bit to imply where his shoulder is. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, perfect. Nice. Okay, cool. So now we have a bit of a tabard going with some sleeves. I know it's not looking very Paladin-esque or Cleric-esque right now, but we will be adding some more detail to sort of imply that holy devotion or that holiness that I'm sure y'all love to see in your Paladin characters or your Cleric characters. I'm just gonna modify some of this mesh right now real quick, just to fix just some of the lumpiness that I'm not super happy about right now, and then we will add a bit more detail. Add a thing right there. Actually, you know what? This is fine. This is fine as is like that. Let's bring this up a little bit. All right, perfect. Cool. Yeah, not bad. So we got a tabard, we got a hood, we got a head, and some hair. So I think this is a good start. Okay, let's continue. The next thing we're going to do is start adding a bit more detail to this particular character. So we're going to add a bit more detail to his tabard, some like overlapping details to make it imply it more of a cleric type guy. So let's add a cube again right here. Let's bring this up, and then let's bring this forward like that. Perfect. Let's add a edge loop like this. Let's add an edge loop here, and then we'll add one more like that. Perfect. We'll delete these vertices and we'll add a mirror modifier. Clipping, turn on clipping. And then, let's see, let's add like a little cross. Yeah, let's just add a simple cross here. Like this. We'll extrude up, and then we'll extrude up like that. And then we'll also extrude these four sideways out like that to make a little bit of a cross. And then we'll select these edges to point it, give it more of a pointed look. So like this. Bring that down. Like this, bring this up. Okay, cool. Let's scale it in a little bit and then scale it down. Maybe scale it up some thickness right here. And then we will position it right where collar, or right where the hood meets the tabard. do something like that. Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. That's not too bad. That might be a little too... I might change this up at another point, but for now this is probably good enough to imply this character's origins a little bit. Let's point it. Let's give it a little more depth here by sort of bringing these up a little bit so that they are a little more interesting to look at and not just kind of like flat planes. You know what I mean? And thankfully, because we have the mirror modifier, we only need to worry about this on one side, to be honest with you. So, yeah. Okay, cool. That's pretty good. Next, what we want to do is start adding some more like overlapping cloth around his tabard. So let's go into here. Maybe we'll add an edge loop right here to sharpen this out. And then maybe we'll move this like this. Move these here. Yeah, something like that. It's pretty good. Yeah, let's do that. And so yeah, let's add a bit more cloth. So let's make this time we're going to make a plane. We'll rotate this on the x-axis and we'll bring it up like that. Bring it forward a little bit and then cut it along here. Delete this and go into the mirror modifier, turn on clipping. And then what we're going to do is start extruding these edges, right? So I'm going to select these edges, bring it down, make sure I'm in my forward position mode. Maybe like bring this down a little bit. Maybe even like flare this out. That, maybe extrude out again. This, maybe one more time. Maybe rotate. Kind of like make a bit more detail on the tabard to make it look like it's overlapping pieces of cloth. Because I've noticed that on like paladins and cleric kind of characters, it looks like they have a lot of, I don't know, like clothing or like just straight up cloth that is supposed to say something about their order. So I want to reflect that in this particular character as well. Let's scale this up a little bit. Let's select this, scale it up here. Select this edge, scale this up like that. Perfect. Okay, cool. So that's looking pretty good. I think I need to move. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now, what we're going to do is let's select all the faces. Go into face 3 and hit A to select all the faces. Hit 3 on your numpad to go on your side view, and then we're going to extrude it out to give it some thickness. I'm trying to keep in mind that I want to 3D print this character at some point in time. So I'm trying to make sure that all of the mesh I make or all of the objects I make have a bit of thickness, because sometimes the 3D printer has a hard time printing stuff that's a little too thin. It sometimes doesn't really know what to do with that. So I'm going to move these back a little bit, rotate this, and maybe select these guys. Same thing, move it back, not select that guy. Move this back and rotate. Yeah, just to give it some curvature, you know. Maybe even select this center mesh and move it forward. And then move this one forward. Yeah, perfect. Cool. All right, I like that. Not too bad. We'll add a subdivision surface. And we'll bump up the scale a little bit. And maybe yeah, that's pretty good actually. Select those top faces, scale it down. Maybe select these guys down here and scale it out like this. And then we will rotate this like that, bring it down so that it's underneath the cloth or underneath the tunic. Not tunic, but I don't even know what to call this. It's kind of like a hood clasp, right? And then we will go back into edge mode, maybe scale this in a little bit, and move it around like that. Perfect, cool. All right, it's kind of like a little bib thing, kind of like a bib thing, but it's like these It's like priests and paladins always have like not only armor but like multiple priestly robes about them. So I want to really reflect that in this character. All right, cool. So I'm pretty happy with that right now. I'm going to rotate this a little bit to make it look like it's dropping down. Yeah, straight down his chest. Yeah, cool. That's not bad. That looks pretty good. And then, you know what? Let's add some trim. Let's add an edge loop right here. And then let's go face select. And then select all these faces in a loop like this. The way I do that is I'm in face select mode, and then I hold down Alt, and I try and click along the side of the face that I want to click the loop around. So if I wanted to click this way, if I want to select this way, I click this edge. If I want to select this way, I click this edge. So if I could go like that or like that. So in this case, I want these bottom edges to be selected, so I'll do that. Once that's done, let's do E again, but this time, once I've selected E, I'll right click to keep it in exactly place, and then I will scale it up like this to imply where, I'll scale it up like that, and then maybe scale it in, or scale it along the x-axis a little bit, and then maybe scale along the y-axis a bit more, or maybe a scale along the z-axis a bit more, and yeah, there we go. Nice. Okay, cool. So that gives it a nice little soft trim there if you wanted that type of effect on your thing. And I'll bring this in. And perfect. Cool. So now we got this initial cloth here. What I'm going to do is run this around his upper sleeve here as well. And then we will move on to the rest of the clothing. So let's keep going. I'm realizing that I'm way over time at this point, so I apologize. Maybe I'll split this up into multiple parts, but we'll see. I'm going to try and do this all in one go. So I'm duplicating that, and then I'm going to hit RZ to rotate along the Z axis, and then hit 90 to rotate 90 degrees. And then position that here, go back into the front view, rotate 90, rotate like that, bring it up, and then I want to scale this along the Y, like this, and maybe even along the X. Like that. Perfect. Cool. So let's bring this in. Overlapping like that. And maybe something kind of like that. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take some of the vertices and start wrapping it around. The mesh to make it look like it's sort of draping around his arm like that pretty nicely. Yeah, okay, cool. That looks good. Maybe I can even do it as edge loops. Yeah, I can even just select the edges themselves and go like that. Maybe even bring this up like this. Maybe bring this up a little bit, and even this one. That. Perfect. Alright, cool. That worked out better. Nice. Let's select these front faces here and maybe scale on the Y to make it a bit wider. Maybe bring this like that. And then, yeah, let's scale this like that. Even scale it down a little bit. Perfect. Cool. Perfect. Nice. All right. I'm liking this so far. Looking like he has a couple of different pieces of tabard cloth sort of draping around his upper body, which is nice. And now what we will do is let's take this thing and we'll duplicate it again. This time we will rotate it 180 so it's facing backwards, and we will bring it back like that, just so that it is complete on both sides, the back and the front. And we will scale this up a little bit, select these guys, deselect those guys, maybe bring this in like that, and then rotate here. Let's select these 4, bring this down, maybe these 6, bring this down, these ones bring it down, maybe even bring it in a little bit. Yeah, cool. Cool. That looks pretty good. Nice. All right, perfect. Now it looks like he's got like multiple pieces of cloth, like priestly cloth wrapping around him. We're gonna add a edge loop right here to sort of sharpen out his sleeve a bit, and then we will go back into vertex mode and edit it like that. We edit this like that as well. Yeah, perfect. Cool. It's looking pretty good so far. I'm liking how it's looking so far. Next up, let's duplicate this. Well, we can do this one of two ways, but you know what? I'll just make my life a bit easier and hit Control D to duplicate, rotate 180, and then just bring it over here. Just basically position it pretty much close enough to what I would expect, just so that it's perfectly the same on both ends. Now, what you could have done is like applied the mirror modifier, apply it, like hit apply here, and then add another one and use this reference as the object to mirror around. But I didn't want to do that, so I just kept it a bit simple. Made my life a bit easier by doing it this way. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's continue. Let's make the sleeves. So let's make some armor sleeves, because we can't just have him wearing clothing if he's supposed to be like a paladin cleric kind of guy, wearing some heavy armor going into battle. So we're going to do that by going Shift A, we'll make a cube. We'll position the cube like this. Let's see. Yeah, you know what? We're not even going to use the mirror modifier for this one. We'll position the cube like this, and we'll rotate it like that. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this out to start making a gauntlet, essentially, right? I'm going to drop an edge loop like that. I'm also going to drop another one like this. Oop. I'll drop another one. Sorry. I'll drop one right there. And then we are good to go. Cool. So selecting this gauntlet right here, selecting this gauntlet right here, I'm going to go into vertex mode. I'm going to scale it up like that. Maybe do a bit of a rotate, and maybe even scale up this whole thing along the X. Yeah, I think that's good. Maybe even scale it up like this. Rotate like that. Cool. And then I'll select these four faces, scale it down so that it matches the size of his wrist a little bit. Maybe even do something like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, cool. That's looking not too bad. We're going to bring this out a little bit. And then, you know what? Let's select this edge and we'll hit bevel. And we'll hit Control B and we'll just bevel this down to round it out a little bit. And we'll also select this and we'll do the same thing like that. We'll select this and do the same thing. Just like that. And one more over here. Bevel this down. And there you go. Now we got a semblance of a gauntlet. Let's scale it up to make it a bit more dramatic here. And then let's select this edge loop, maybe do this. We'll add another edge loop here and do that to make it, to make the shape of it really nice and sort of have a flow overall. Again, I'm sort of just making this up as I go along, so forgive me if I'm just if I sound like I'm just making calls as I do it, because it's literally what I'm doing. Anyway, I think that gauntlet's looking pretty good. Maybe I'll bump this up a tiny bit, and I might even want to increase the size overall. Yeah, that's not bad. I think that's not too bad. Let's grab these two edges right here, and we'll bring this forward. We'll grab these two edges right here and we'll bring it forward to overlap his hand a bit more. And then we'll grab these two vertices and we'll scale it up along the Y like that to just sort of imply like a lip. And we'll bring this up like this so that it fits his hand a bit more. And then we'll grab these two and scale it on the Y again. Yeah, that's perfect. All right, perfect. Yeah, I'm liking how that gauntlet's looking. It's not too shabby. So we'll go ahead and apply a subdivision surface modifier, up the levels a little bit, and what we're going to do now is add some edge loops. So to do that, we're going to bevel so we can get some nice hard surface edges going. So we'll hit Control B, just like that, and then we will do the same thing here. Select all these outside edges, like that, and then hit Control B again to bevel. Yeah, perfect. And now I think what we want is some of these edges to look not sharp, but like kind of like they're metal, right? So we're gonna give them a couple points by adding bevels here as well. So let's bevel this, and then maybe we'll do the same down here. We'll bevel this. Bevel this guy too. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that's not too bad. And then we will bevel here. And yeah, nice. Okay, cool. It looks like we got the startings of a gauntlet. The startings of a cool little gauntlet for him. I think what I would like to do is, I think I would like to add, like, what's the word? Kind of like straps around here. So let's start by making a plane, rotate it along the x-axis, bring it here, that, maybe bring it forward, this, and then let's do this. We will try to think of the best way to do this. You know what? We'll go like this. We will just create a rough shaped cylinder, and then we're gonna grab these edges or these vertices, hit M, and then we'll do like merge at last. And we'll do the same thing here, M, merge at last, and then there you go. Now we got a rough cylinder. There's a lot of ways you could have done this, to be honest with you, but I just sort of went with the first thing that came to my mind. So I'm just gonna select these right now and just sort of fix it up a little bit, so that it doesn't have too much of a weird shape. Yeah, that's not too bad. And then we will scale it down. What I'll actually do is right click this mesh in object mode, and then we'll set origin to geometry, such that way the origin point, this little circular, this orange dot here, is dead center to the entire mesh. And that helps with scaling and positioning, because that's your reference point for where things will go. So now that we have that selected, we'll scale this down, go back into front view, and maybe do some of this. Scale it up, maybe scale it in. And yeah, okay, there we go, cool. So now that that's done, I'm gonna, I think I want to scale this down even more, to be honest with you. Now I'm gonna go into edit mode. I'm gonna hit E to extrude, right click to put the extrusion back into its place, and then hit S to scale and just scale up so that it has some thickness to it that I like. And then we're gonna just scale it down some more, just like that. Perfect. Scale it down even more. Yeah, that's good. Like that. Perfect. Maybe we'll add a subdivision surface modifier. Yeah, that looks good. Cool. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's not too bad. And then we'll just duplicate and maybe scale it up to put it a little bit higher on his gauntlet as well. Perfect. Nice. Let's scale this to give it some variation. And I think we are cooking pretty well. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. It's like a kind of like a gauntlet piece. I almost want to give him like a elbow guard, so let's do that. Let's do that by taking a plane. We'll go like this, and then let's take this plane and cut it in half into a couple of vertices like this, Then we'll rotate it along the x-axis and go 1 so that's front facing to us. And then we will delete these right here and then add a mirror modifier. Yeah, add a mirror modifier. And we will start making kind of like a gauntlet shape. You know what, even before I move all that, let me just turn on clipping. Make sure I don't split my edges by accident. Alright, cool. I like this. Not too bad. Maybe something like that. Bring this in. Yeah, that's pretty good. Next, we will select these faces, and then we will we'll hit E to extrude, right click to position, and then scale straight down. Maybe scale it up a little bit, so it makes this kind of like makes a trim around this. And then what we will do is we will take this center vertex and position it up. Oh wait, that is something. Looks like I accidentally made multiple vertices. So that's, we don't want overlapping faces. So instead, maybe what we'll do is we will select the edges here and we'll hit E to extrude, position, and then just scale like that. There you go. That way we don't have weird overlapping faces like you saw before. Perfect. Now let's move this up forward a little bit. And then, yeah, let's move that forward. And then maybe we'll even add a little edge loop right here. One more right here, and one more right here. And then we'll select these guys. And then we will bring this forward. Maybe even scale it up. Then we will select these faces, or these edges. We'll bring this back a touch. That. And then what we probably could do is just select all of this. We could select all of this and then extrude in. But actually what I think I want to do instead is close off the mesh. Now I'm going to select all these faces right here and hit F to fill it so that it becomes a complete face, completely filled face. Yeah, cool, perfect. Looking good. Yeah, I like how that looks. Let's select this and then extrude back to give it some thickness. And then we'll position this in here, scale it up, maybe add a subdivision modifier. Yeah, let's bump the levels up. We'll select these guys. We'll select these edges here and hit bevel to sharpen that. We'll also select these guys, bevel to sharpen this. Or no, actually, we will just add an edge loop here to sharpen that. And then actually what we could do is bevel these corners to sharpen them a little bit. Let's bevel, and then maybe bevel this one. Yeah, perfect. I like that. Nice, looking good. Scale it up. Now let's position it along the gauntlet where we want to see it. And we could probably reuse this as like a shoulder pad or knee pad or something. 5, rotate, maybe like that. Position it here. GY. We rotate like this and get it into the right position. Even scale it down a touch, or scale back up a little bit. And there you go. Cool. Now we got kind of like an elbow pad for this Paladin cleric guy, and I think that's looking pretty good so far. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty good overall. I think what I'd like to do is add like little buckles here. So to do that, let's just make a simple buckle. We'll go Shift A, we'll make a cube, bring the cube over here or something, scale it down, maybe scale it like that, scale it up. And then all we're gonna do is we will add hit edge, and then we will add maybe, yeah, like this. So basically what I did was hit Control R, scrolled up on my mouse wheel to increase the number of edge loops I'm adding, and so that I added 2. And now that I have 2 edge loops, I can select these opposite sides, extrude up like that. And then we can maybe position this a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of like a belt buckle, right? Very rough belt buckle. Go up like this, and we will add a subdivision surface. And to kind of clean this up, we will add a bevel right here. We will also add another bevel right here. And then we will bevel these ends right here. So let's select all these edges, hit B, Control B to bevel that. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Let's maybe go into edit mode and then maybe like flatten it out. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, maybe flatten it out a touch like this. Maybe take these front faces and bring it down a little bit. That's perfect. Cool. Nice. So now let's take this thing, rotate it, scale it down a little bit. Obviously position it closer to the straps. Maybe rotate a little bit. And there we go. Cool. So now we got 2 buckles for our gauntlet straps here that are looking pretty good, I gotta say. Maybe we'll scale this guy up so it's got a little bit of variation. And yeah, looking like we're in good shape. Alright, sweet. So let's bring back the rest of our model here and check them out. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out so far. So next up, I think what we will do is, yeah, you know what? Let's mirror these around. Let's make a perfect mirror of this gauntlet. So to do that, what we're going to do is select this base gauntlet model you had first, add a mirror modifier, and then select the reference object back there. And now you'll see that the gauntlet is perfectly mirrored onto the opposite end at exactly the right position. So it's making a perfect symmetrical duplicate. Let's apply the mirror modifier on this one and then apply a new one. Do the same thing, select the object in the back so that it appears exactly where we want it to be. And we will go around and mirror everything else so that they're all perfectly symmetrical. So do this, select here, select this one, and then select this one. Mirror around this reference object, and then mirror again around this reference object. There you go. Nice. Okay, cool. That's looking not too bad, I think. Yeah, not too bad at all. Let's tweak this sleeve a little bit. It's looking a little wonky to me. Yeah, that's a bit better. There we go. Cool. Yeah, I'm liking how this guy's turning out so far. It's not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. I think we'll pause there for now for this first video, and I think I'll come out with a second video that continues this. We'll finish it up by making a belt and the leg armor, and maybe even do some texture painting. So thanks for following along. Hopefully that was helpful. Leave any comments down below if you have any questions or any ways I can improve, and I will catch you later. Okay, bye. Thanks for watching the video. If you like my content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let me know down below what you want to see next, or just check out some of these other great videos. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you later.